6-2, using proportions. In this lesson, we're actually going to take a couple of ratios and we're going to put them next to each other and see if they form something called a proportion. You might know this from previous years where you had to determine if each fraction was equivalent. It's the same thing. In order to decide if 2/3 and 8/12 form a proportion, we have to use cross multiplication. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 8 is 24. These two ratios, when you do cross multiplication, both equal 24. Since these numbers are equivalent, these two ratios form a proportion. Since 24 equals 24. If these two numbers, the 24 and the 24, had been different, then this would not be a proportion. We can solve proportions. Here we have p divided by 6 equals 24 over 36. This is more of what you're going to do. This is a little bit more advanced, more along the lines of what we need to focus on. So we have p divided by 6 equals 24 over 36. In order to solve this proportion, again, we do cross multiplication. Going from the right denominator to the left numerator, 36 times p is 36p. And 24 times 6 is 144. So I have 36 times p equals 144. It's now an equation. So we have to solve this equation. It's multiplication. Solve by dividing both sides by 36. Because we're not dealing with decimals, you cannot use a calculator. 36 goes into 144 4 times maybe. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 12 is 144. And we find that the variable p has to be 4. Please make use of multiplication and division off to the side on your paper because there's plenty of paper. Solving proportions. On this board, I've already drawn in the cross multiplication symbols. I have 16 over x plus 5 equals 4/5. Now, nothing out of the ordinary except for the x plus 5. Now, not to get too confused, cross multiplying 5 times 16 is 80. And that equals 4 times x plus 5. If I write it like this instead, does this look familiar to you now? It should. It's the distributive property. (80) equals 4x plus 20. And again, we're looking for what the variable x needs to be in order to make these two ratios form a proportion. Solving this equation, we're going to subtract 20 from both sides. The 20s go away. I get 60 is equal to 4x. It's simple multiplication at this point. Divide both sides by 4. And we find that x is equal to 15. You're also going to run into some problems where you have to write and then solve a proportion. If 12 glasses fits into 3 cases, we want to know how many cases will 72 glasses fit into. So we need to set up a proportion for that. 12 over 3 is equal to 72 over n. The first number of glasses over the first number of cases is equal to the ratio of the second number of glasses over the second number of cases. Solving it just like every other problem, cross multiplication. 12n equals, and 72 times 3, because we don't know it off the top of our heads, is 216. So now I have 12n equals 216. To figure out what n needs to be, we divide both sides by 12. Well, 216 divided by 12. Don't know it off the top of our heads, so we're going to do long division. And simplifying down, we get n equals 18. Now, we've been working with equations for quite some time, and I went through these problems rather quickly without asking the same questions I've been asking all year. At this point, we're beginning to move further, faster, as we begin to do some other things. Your homework is page 273, problems 10 through 38, the evens.